Chapter 74. Baekchun narrowed his eyes. Who is this guy? He was nothing short of absurd. From the moment they entered this place, he felt a sense of incongruity. Now that he looked closely, he understood why he felt that way. Why was there a child, who might have just turned 15 this year, ordering all this expensive food and alcohol? Of course, it wasn't impossible. The sons of high-ranking officials or the children of wealthy elites could do this. The children of the merchant families also enjoy such pleasures from a young age. The problem was that this was Hwalm. As far as Baekchun knew, there were no high-ranking officials, no descendants of wealthy families, or children of wealthy families here. Even if they were here, Cheongmyung's age doesn't match up. So who was this child that was drinking alcohol alone in Hwalm? The child coughed and waved his hand. I'm just a passerby. Don't worry about me and continue with your meal. A passerby. Baekchun's eyes softened. Right, that was also possible. All right then, since we ended up meeting here, why don't we introduce ourselves? I am Baekchun, second-class disciple of the great Mount Hua. Cheongmyung grunted a little as he covered his face with his long sleeves. This bastard, why is he so persistent? He couldn't back out or beat him up now. If the fact that Cheongmyung had beaten Baekchun so that he could run away spread around Mount Hua, then the sect leader would be enraged, and Eungum, who began to nag him a lot these days, might run wild and try to cut Cheongmyung down. Then everything Cheongmyung had built up would come crumbling down. I can't let that happen. He can't let himself get tangled up with this young man for no reason. Cheongmyung coughed twice. I really don't have a name worth offering. Isn't it a bit ungentlemanly to cover your face while having a conversation? Gentleman? Why gentleman? You should just leave me alone, you bastard. Cheongmyung's emotions were slowly overwhelming him. For now, the first thing he needed to do was avoid further interaction. Cheongmyung quietly got up. Well, I need to leave. Hold on. Let's have a talk the next time we meet. Cheongmyung, who was turning around, smiled as he grabbed the alcohol bottle on the table and bowed with his face half covered. Goodbye. Young man, I would like to speak with you a bit longer. I'm sorry, I have no interest in playing with men. Farewell. As Cheongmyung rushed to the entrance, Baekchun's expression went stiff, and he quickly stretched out his hands. Where does he think he's going? The moment his hand went to grab the hem of Cheongmyung's clothes, swish! Cheongmyung smoothly sidestepped his grasp and avoided Baekchun's hand, which merely cut through the air. Huh? Take care! Cheongmyung jumped out of the window next to the table and left. Baekchun looked at the place Cheongmyung had left with blank eyes. He avoided it. He definitely used the grasping joint lock at the last moment. Even if it didn't reach the pinnacle, it was still enough to catch a child. But it was avoided. Sahyung, why didn't you catch him? What? Didn't you let him go? A look of embarrassment appeared on Baekchun's face. How should he answer this? Holding a young child against their will isn't something a Taoist should do. As expected from Sahyung. Baekchun put on an awkward smile. There must have been some mistake. He must have been tired from the long journey, or maybe he was too relieved by the fact that he came back to Mount Hua. There was no way he could have lost that child if he had seriously used the technique. I thought there were more people in Hwalm, and now there are many faces I've never seen before. Hwalm isn't a small place, so there's no way we can know everyone. If there is a chance, we might meet again. Yes, Sahyung. Baekchun smiled and went back to his seat, but his smile wasn't as bright as before. Ugh, what rotten timing. Cheongmyung kicked the stone lying on the road. Why did he have to come there and make a fuss? There were a lot of other people around. Anyway, have I run out of luck? Even the weakest bastards come to step on my toes. How unfortunate. When he thought of the food he didn't get to finish eating, his stomach hurt. How much money did he waste? Well, at least I saved the alcohol. As he climbed up to Mount Hua, Chungmyeong continued to drink from the bottle. It lingers on the tongue. If only there were snacks to go along with this. Chungmyeong smacked his lips and threw away the empty bottle. Climbing a mountain is so difficult. No matter how many times he climbed the mountain, it seemed like he could never get used to it. But that Baekchun kid. Suddenly, a group of people outside of Chungmyeong's plans appeared. Of course, their presence didn't bother him, but it might get a little annoying. Chungmyeong's life has been so comfortable on Mount Hua because of the preferential treatment he got for his achievements. But that wasn't all. The biggest reason was the age difference between the elders and the third-class disciples. Compared to the elders, who were all over 50 years old, the third-class disciples were children below 20. This gave them a bit of a leeway to work and train. The scariest person for a soldier in the army isn't the general or the emperor. It is his immediate supervisor. Isn't it common sense that a corrupt boss with a short temper is more frightening than a distant mastermind? There wouldn't be anyone that would think otherwise. Baekchun, huh? First of all, it seemed strange. I shouldn't have laughed back there. But he couldn't control it. The words he heard from Baekchun were so absurd. Overtake the Jongnam sect? On what basis? Chungmyeong clicked his tongue over and over. If only those idiots who ran their mouths could at least defeat the third-class disciples of the Jongnam sect. My Sahyung. Just look at these fools that are considered disciples of Mount Hua in this era. Seriously, kids these days. Phew. Chungmyeong was more shocked than when he saw the state of the third-class disciples. How much martial arts could the third-class disciples even learn? They wouldn't have even gotten a clear taste of what martial arts is, so it wouldn't matter. But the second-class disciples are different. The third-class disciples are taught the foundation. Second-class disciples grow through training. First-class disciples reach the peak. And when they become an elder, it is natural for them to complete their own martial arts path. Right, that is the standard. Oh my God! Chungmyeong took a deep breath. When he saw the second-class disciples, Chungmyeong felt his stomach turning. However, they were also disciples of Mount Hua, so Chungmyeong should embrace them. I shouldn't be wasting my precious time like this. Seeing the second-class disciples, an unknown sense of urgency grew in him. How much longer will I have to wait for these disciples to grow into competent martial artists? It was still a very, very long way off. Joel Sahyung, all the third-class disciples have been asked to gather. Why? Our seniors are returning. Well, okay. Did you tell Great Sahyung? Yes, he said he'll be there soon. Okay. Jogul took off his training clothes and changed into new ones. The sunset was approaching. Come to think of it, I wonder if he's back yet. Jogul opened the door, went out, and opened the door to Chungmyeong's room. When he saw Chungmyeong on the bed, Jogul was left speechless. He was lying down in a weird way and mumbling in his sleep. Did he seriously get drunk? Where was the smell of alcohol coming from? Flustered, Jogul ran to Chungmyeong, grabbed him by the shoulders, and shook him. Chungmyeong, Saje, Chungmyeong, you crazy bastard, huh? Nothing. Forget that last one. He kept shaking him. Everyone was asked to gather. The Sasuks are back. You should quickly wash up. You look terrible right now. Chungmyeong stretched himself out. I guess I dozed off for a bit when I took that break. That wasn't a break. Chungmyeong, no creature in the world would sleep the way you did. Just say you got drunk and fell asleep. You, wash up first. Chungmyeong released the little key and quickly scattered the scent of alcohol. Jogul, with his eyes wide open, was about to say something. Huh? That overwhelming smell of alcohol disappeared in an instant. Jogul sniffed, just to be sure, but he couldn't smell anything. Huh? Why don't I smell the alcohol anymore? Alcohol? What is wrong with you? We walk the path of purity, Sahyung. Why would we have such things? We would get punished. No, I definitely. Let's go. We might be punished if we're late. Jogul felt that the situation was a bit unfair, but Chongmyung was right about being late for now, so he hurriedly followed after him. But why do we need to go greet the seniors just because they're returning? We need to at least welcome them back. They're returning from a long and arduous training session. Arduous. Do they think that staying in some closed space would promote growth? They probably just went and locked themselves in some building or cave with no light for 2 or 3 months, ate fasting pills, and swung their swords a few times. They probably thought to themselves, "Ah, I got so much training done. How pointless." A bunch of young men and women isolated in pairs, wielding swords or whatever. Such cheeky training. Yet, they arrogantly ran their mouths about how difficult it was and how they can overtake Jeongnam with just that. It wasn't like that back in Chongmyung's day. It was unconceivable for such a thing to happen in Mount Hua 100 years ago. They said they would take down the Jeongnam Sect bastards no matter what. This time, they really are coming back with great results. Even the sect leader wholeheartedly supported their training. Is that so? Yes. Baekchun Sasuk strongly requested it. Chongmyung snorted. Sure. You should also be careful of your attitude. Baekchun Sasuk is strict, so if you behave like you usually do, you'll get in trouble. Sure. I meant it. Sure. Leaving Jogul, who was nagging him, Chongmyung joined the third-class disciples. By the time Chongmyung arrived, quite a few people were already gathered. The sect leader, elders, and the Sasuks too. Everyone stood at the gate, waiting for the second-class disciples to return. They're coming. Open the gate. The newly built gate opened to the left and right. Soon, Mount Hua's second-class disciples entered the scene, draped in black robes. Oh, look at the change in atmosphere. It's really amazing. The Sasuks admired them and applauded. The elders also welcomed them with happy faces. There was only one person with a dull face. When will this end? Chongmyung wanted to go eat. Baekchun, who led the disciples, responded to everyone with a dazzling smile. Wow, look at this. Indeed, this disciple was unquestionably handsome. Of course, even Chongmyung had people who called him handsome in the past. When he got dressed up and went down to Hwaum, beautiful women would fall. Have some conscience. Oh, come on, Sahyung. Chongmyung shook his head and was just about to clap. Huh? Baekchun's eyes, which accepted the others' greetings, fell on Chongmyung. Baekchun, who paused for a moment, tilted his head. After watching Chongmyung for a long time, he arrived in front of Chongmyung and smiled with confused eyes. By any chance? Baekchun smiled and stared straight at Chongmyung as he spoke. Haven't we met before, young man? Was he going to get caught this time? Do I really need to beat the hell out of this guy?